right, hey, welcome everybody to another great show. All right, I got Chuck and Chris here. All right, we're going to be talking about, did the Trump tax reform of 2017, did it actually make 1%, the top 1% pay less or pay more? We're going to dig right into that right now. How's it going, guys? Thanks for coming on.
Good, thank you.
Good.
So, I just want to start it off because I heard last night that there's articles that came out recently that say that the top 1% had paid allegedly $60 billion more in federal income tax under the Trump tax reform bill than what everyone was complaining and bitching about. How, oh, the top 1%, they're not paying any income tax. Amazon's paying zero income tax, or blah blah blah, which was complete bullshit and lie. What do you guys have? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
That's it against what they were lying about as usual. It seemed like we need to rip more when they're already paying 60 million is a significant amount. That's huge.
Yeah, not to mention that New York was up in arms that AOC, chased Amazon away and chasing all that tax money away. So where's that coming from?
No jobs,
Right.
none of that. That. It's the,
Yeah,
what? Go ahead.
if I remember correctly, I think those jobs were going to pay each of the employees. I could be wrong. I think it was going to pay like 150K a year per employee.
Yeah.
I think I read that somewhere.
It says here, this is according to the American Institute for Economic Research. It says that in 2018, the top 1% of U.S. earners paid roughly 37% of all federal income taxes. The top 5% paid around 58%.
Wow.
This suggests that policymakers wishing to mitigate regressive features of the tax system should look elsewhere. State and local sales and property taxes may be more promising area for reform.
Well,
Wow.
I think you boys are pretty aware on my stance on taxes, anyways.
Taxation is theft, right?
Taxation.
The less the better. Absolutely.
The only way I would even consider budging on that is if they pass that fair tax where it was like what 10.5% on every purchase, and then you just eliminate income tax altogether. I may, consider that.
Which some states already
Right.
do. Federal, you get that done at the federal level.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can take the burden, I guess you can say, off of the average American, so they can just live their lives, get rid of,
Working
uh,
American.
yeah, working
And
Americans.
off the working American. So now everybody that spends money is getting taxed, and yeah, because let's face it, us work, and then we're paying tax to buy stuff. Americans are just paying tax, in most states, not all.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah,
Here's another article, themix.net. Putting it in numbers, to put the phenomenon into perspective, let us provide you with the numbers. According to the study released by the Tax Foundation, the richest Americans are paying $542.6 billion in federal taxes. Now, it's not saying income taxes, but probably taxes altogether, which what you mentioned earlier. This compared to a total, this compared to a total of federal income tax of 1.37 trillion. Wow. But hey, remember, guys, it was the Trump tax bill that was helping all the richest and all the top 1% of the entire country. When actually it's showing that it was more beneficial for bringing in taxes for the federal government while people were making more money. And it said in the same thing that I was told that even so the bottom 99% paid 80 billion less in income taxes in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it sounds beneficial on both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know for a fact I paid a lot less in taxes while Trump was in.
Yeah.
I just noticed my paychecks getting fatter, and I didn't even get a raise. Yeah.
No, notice more money in savings or whatever extra spending amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean all that extra money that I didn't have to spend went into savings.
Right.
So my savings account got pretty good. So
I,
anytime we have an emergency, I got it.
I don't think anyone
Yeah.
could deny that they made more money while Trump was in office. It was just everything else that was put, all the bullshit that was put in by the left, the fake news bullshit that was trying to just drag his name down. But like, I keep telling people, I'm like, okay, so what policies like directly affect you? Name me a policy that that hurts America or Americans that Trump implemented. Name me five. Give me
Right.
two. You know, or okay, so how is the tax? I've been saying this for years, ever since the tax bill of 2017 was passed. That well, it doesn't mean that these businesses and corporations are not paying taxes. Nowhere does it say that. There's federal there's capital gains tax. There's property taxes that they have to pay. There's transferring taxes that they got to pay. There's so many taxes out there. If you look at the goddamn list of how many taxes there are, man, you can't even die without the government trying to dip their fingers into it.
Right.
Yeah, with the tax.
But it's like, oh, but they don't they don't make any, they don't have to pay any income tax. Well, you think that they were paying high income tax in the first place? I'm like, how do you think people like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates receive their income? You think that they just receive $80 billion every year? That's how much they're worth,
Yeah.
What they do is that they put all of
Exactly.
their money into stocks or even into their own business, stocks. So
Right.
it's
They
on
reinvest
Amazon or
it.
Microsoft. And their income comes in from dividends from stocks, which is paid at a
Right.
less rate than an income tax is.
They have a lot of passive income where they don't have to lift a finger to make anything off of it because they also have property. Property is one of the biggest things to invest in.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, and
definitely.
think about it. If you're a business owner making a bunch of money, you're not just going to keep all that because the government's going to take it. You're going to reinvest it. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
use it to make more money. This is what most people don't understand because they don't own a business and they don't make that kind of money. You don't just get to keep all that income. Your net worth is not like how much you have in your bank account.
Yeah,
And with how the tax code is, it's going to get to the point where it's not going to be worth investing in anything anymore if they keep going the way they're going.
Right. Which is bad for America. It's bad
Yeah.
for progression of business. There's a whole, domino effect to that.
And
It's
who's
going
going
to
to be
slow us down.
in it? The only people that are going to be investing in it are Chinese companies. The Chinese
Oh, yeah.
government, they already own. Oh man, I think it was like 80% of American soil. It was something ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah, I'm sure it's some ridiculous amount.
you mean like for farmland?
Yeah, farmland, businesses. They own all of Hollywood. They own
Buildings in San Francisco, I know they own quite a few.
they own pretty much all the sports leagues.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you name it, they probably own it.
A lot more than people realize.
Let me take a look here. Is
I'm pretty sure they own BLM, not Black Lives Matter, but the Bureau of Land Management. I'm pretty sure they own them.
Wow.
They're supposed to.
It's
pretty scary.
Education, technology, media. Yeah, Numbnuts
They're all
was
over,
saying the
like
other
in every
day
field.
that, but some believe that the ongoing crisis bears the inroads China has made on U.S. soil. I don't know. I can't find anything yet. China buys Grand Canyon.
Probably have to do some deep digging because I mean a lot of it's going to be through shells,
There's no
right?
way that that's fucking
Correct.
real. There's no way that that's real. Weekly World News. Oh no.
No, it was so. if you so Bureau of Land Management, you guys remember what happened out in Nevada about, what was it, 2013, 2014 with the Bundy Ranch?
Uh,
You remember the
in
Bundys?
Nevada, I thought that was in Oregon.
Well, they did go to Oregon to help out, I think, a mining outfit. But they started in on their ranch, on the Bundy Ranch, is where they got their fame or notoriety or
And
whatever.
that was in Nevada, you said, or
Yeah, I think it's Bunker Hill, Nevada, if I'm not mistaken.
okay.
It's Bunker.
I know the incident vaguely. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so the whole thing is the BLM was trying to take their land to quote unquote protect a desert tortoise, right?
Yeah,
Um, who was it? It was
yeah, you're right in southeastern Nevada.
I can't remember the politician's name, but he's a Democrat that has a lot of
Neil
stake.
Corns.
Who?
Neil Corns.
That name doesn't ring a bell. I want to say it was fuck. He looks like a turtle too. Um, I'll think of his name and get back with you on that one. But there's a Democratic politician that had a lot of stake in this land. He wanted to buy it for the mineral rights, basically. But the Bundys has been using that land as grazing. They had grazing rights to it. They stopped paying the grazing taxes. I want to say 20 years beforehand, because their family's been using it for generations. I mean, well over 100, 150 years. They've been using this land before they started getting taxed. But yeah, they basically kidnapped their cattle, started slaughtering their cattle, and that's when they stood up and a bunch of patriots went and stood with them.
Didn't they fire at the federal agents too?
No, they did not fire at them. They did make the feds stand down because there were a couple of people that were pointing weapons at the feds, but they got them under control pretty quick and basically made the feds tuck tail and run because they saw that they were outnumbered and they weren't going anywhere, which is pretty cool in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why we have the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah, but the point I was getting at is
Well,
these
this went back all the way to since 1998.
yeah, they stopped
Wow.
they stopped paying the grazing taxes because they're like, look, our family's been using this for generations. I'm not paying anymore. But yeah, the point I was making is these politicians that are elected, and I believe he's still in office. Like I said, I can't remember this guy's name now. I have his face in my head, but I can't remember his name. Um, they're known Chinese agents. They're known Chinese. They're in bed with China. Basically, they're trying to take this land. Texas is one of the few states that owns pretty much 100% of Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
There's like there, yeah, 99%, or like 99% of land in Texas is privately owned land. There's no state parks, no federal parks, no national parks. I mean, it's
yeah, there's state parks, but there's no national parks. But it's been in families for since the beginning of Texas, basically.
mm-hmm.
That's who's kept it and controlled it. And I think it's time to get back to that as a country, not just Texas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who cherishes the land and takes care of the land? Farmers, actual legit farmers. I'm not talking about industrial,
Yeah.
farm. They take care of the land. They do controlled burns, which is what you heard about in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Those poor guys. That was a illegal double jeopardy if I ever seen it.
Yeah. 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 It's unfortunate, and I think that we all need to just realize that in going back, to the tax bill, that it was another thing that the Democrats had fabricated and just wanted to tell people lies in the United States that people were not paying their taxes. And if this is another thing that's a lie, which we've all talked about in the group chat about the Capitol riots, how that police officer who died was hit in the head with a fire extinguisher and died from his injuries. Well, that
Hmm.
was a lie.
Yeah,
You know,
his own mom came out and said that it was a lie.
yeah, that it was the autopsy shows that it was more likely indicating that it was a stroke that he died of.
Right.
Um,
Later on.
yeah, and so I just wanted to set this record straight when it came to that tax bill, because I'm going to start when people start going to say that, I'm going to start calling them weird conspiracy theorists.
Right.
I'm going to start flipping the script back on them, because
Misinformed.
yeah, not like, oh, the top 1%, they didn't pay any income tax. I'm like, no, you're damn QAnon conspiracy theorist, man. I've been doing that on Facebook when people saying some weird shit like let's say Trump was uh, defunding the postal service, or like dismantling the postal service, and I'm like, oh, okay, QAnon,
Yeah.
like keep it with
Yeah,
your
right.
Speaking of
Nobody ever
Q,
called them out on that.
yeah.
speaking of Q, have you boys heard about March 4th?
Yeah, where people believe that that Trump is going to become president on March 4th.
Yeah, I just heard about that. I think yesterday, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't heard
It's
that one.
it's it's more crazy QAnon bullshit, but
That he's going to be the 19th president
yeah,
because
because the other ones, yeah, like something about like the other ones weren't like technically real presidents because they weren't under the original constitution or some crazy stuff like that. I don't remember what their reasoning is behind it. Um, but have you guys heard about the Equality Act that passed in the House? What was it, yesterday or the day
Yes.
before? The other day?
This is the day before, I believe.
Yeah. So we're recording this on
Yeah.
Saturday, February 27th. But anyway, uh, it's to like put it in a nutshell, is so that they can revise the 1964 Civil Rights Act to include sexual orientation and gender identity. And basically, in a nutshell, some other provisions in there would violate the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993.
Hmm.
The act reads, shall not provide a claim concerning or a defense to a claim under a covered title or provide a basis for challenging the application or enforcement of a covered title. Anyway, that religious institutions will basically have to be forced into accepting LGBTQ, or like have to go against their beliefs and like include
Hmm.
them into marriages in the Catholic Church or whatever. I mean, like, oh, it sounds like kind of bigoted, but stuff like that. Well, the church has never been an inclusive organization. Any church. Some churches will accept murderers, rapists, and shit like that. Others will be like, you're probably pretty fucking no, um, but even, and this is, I gotta read into this article further so I can give you guys the facts from what the Federalist is saying. But from what I understand is that it even is going, if an organization, a church organization, does not like provide these services to LGBTQ people, that they could get their tax exemption removed and then start taxing, and have to pay for it. They're
I guess
wrongdoings.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. I mean, constitutional violations, and they're just trying to legalize that.
well,
But
I guess old Marjorie Green wasn't lying when she says trying to kill God.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, she she sounds nutty on the surface, but when you dig down deep and what she says, I mean, she's not lying. She's not
Well,
crazy.
and remember, she's on the inside. They're trying to keep her out of all these committees and stuff, but that gives her more time, like she said, to really look into things.
Mm-hmm.
So she might be onto something. Yeah, she's a little out there, but
I think the most disturbing
she does stand for certain things.
Yeah, I think the most disturbing part, and it says, according to the Equality Act, religious nurses, doctors, and hospitals unwilling to kill an unborn child or perform a potentially mentally destabilizing, deeply invasive, medically unsound sex change surgery could be legally discriminating. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, if
So
you
it
go
doesn't
to a
matter what
doctor,
you believe or what your morals are.
yeah, if you go to your doctor and your doctor refuses to give you an abortion or do a
You know,
sex change operation, then it's
I,
discriminating.
I can see this. I could see a shortage in doctors, coming very soon. Because there's probably more doctors that won't do it than there are that will. So there's going to
Right.
be I can see there's going to be a shortage of doctors probably in the next year or so, especially as doctors that still refuse to do it end up in prison or sent to a political re-education camp
Or
or
their business is killed,
or their
You
practice.
private
goes
practice.
to the gender re-education. Right?
Well, this is like that same bakery that refused to make.
For your education, doctor.
Yeah, the cakes are in
This
Colorado.
goes back to the Oregon cake, right? Or Colorado? Was it Colorado or Oregon?
I
The
think
baker.
The
I
baker's
think it
in
was
Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It goes to that same thing again, right? Even
Yeah.
if you're a private business or private practice, you can't choose who you want to serve or what procedures you want to offer. Now you're being forced,
And it's also going to be a
whether you
problem.
believe in it or not.
Right. It's also going to be a problem for businesses because a business has a right to refuse service for
Correct.
any reason.
Correct.
Okay.
But
Um,
but they can't because of race. That's
right.
no.
Right. But race and religion excluded. If you're going in a place of business acting like an asshole
Then yeah, they refuse. Yeah.
and they kick you out,
Right.
then you can just claim, well, it's because I'm black, it's because I'm pansexual, it's because I'm fucking water baby fluid fucking sexual. I don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
they'll complain and then that business gets shut down.
Yeah.
It's all about playing the victim card, right? Which one you want to pull out.
Yeah, exactly.
And I could see people going in and just starting stuff, trying to shut businesses down, going making a scene and then be like, oh, well, I was discriminated against because blah blah blah. It's like, no, you're being a dick out there, so that's why you got refused.
You're
But you know how the media's gonna spin it.
yeah, you're being a child, being a dick, you got kicked out. Don't matter what
Yeah.
evidence the business owner has, it's a lose-lose situation every time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it like how would they view it? Like if you were gay and you were trying to get a wedding cake and you went and you were like, I can't. You were refused service because you were gay.
Go to the next bakery, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're pissed off about it.
Oh yeah,
You know?
no, absolutely. I would be too if I was in that position. Let's say I'm discriminated against because I'm Eastern European, right? They don't want to serve me. They only serve. Let's say I go to Russian bakery and they only serve Russians, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely be upset, but I would just go to the next bakery, like you said. They're not getting my business. Bye.
Yeah. They don't want your business, so go to the next one. That's the beauty of capitalism. You have options, motherfucker.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's really inappropriate when it comes to the point of forcing your doctor to perform an abortion or a sex change operation. For one thing, let's break it down to reality. Is your standard care provider an actual doctor that can perform such, procedures? More than likely, no.
Right.
And so, I mean, if you go to an abortionist, an actual abortion doctor, and they, which I don't know what the actual name is for a doctor that performs it. They're gynecologists or what, but which they
what
probably
they are.
yeah, but and then let's say you go to a doctor that specializes in sex change operations, and then they refuse to give you a sex change operation. Well, that doesn't make any damn sense. You know what I mean? So like I don't understand how that could be implemented into this Equality Act, because not every doctor is skilled or trained in those procedures. All right, I mean that's just being realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So like it's basically unnecessary to put that in there. Like you go to Planned Parenthood, and then suddenly the guy that's been performing like X amount of abortions every year is going to be like, no, it's because you're trans or whatever. Then like that guy's pretty stupid because that's his job. You know what I mean? But like I said, it says here, but according religious nurses, doctors, and hospitals unwilling to kill an unborn child or perform a potentially mentally disabling. Anyway, so that's basically what they're saying.
It's attacking
is that
the religious sector.
So yeah, let's say if you're a Catholic organization and you have because Catholic organization has a lot of hospitals worldwide. It's basically saying,
Right.
okay, well now you're going to have to perform these services. You have to now.
Even though they're unethical in your religion, they're going to force you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you're going to have basically to the point where you're going to have abortions readily available on every corner, sex change operations readily at every corner, at every clinic, because that's what it's breaking down to. Because well, okay, I walk into a clinic, you guys don't do abortions here, well, why not? Well, that's discrimination,
Right.
No, you can't just force every institution to do that. And like what gender identity, who is really being discriminated against on like the governmental level? Are they being denied education? Are trans people, gay people being denied healthcare? Are they being denied employment because of being trans or homosexual?
Right.
Where's
There's already laws in place for that. There's already, guidelines in place for that. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm at. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're a tranny. But as soon as you tell me I have to speak a certain way, act a certain way towards you, you cram your shit down my throat, I'm going to say, fuck yourself.
Or cram it down our kids' throat with education.
That's when I'll go to jail.
Yeah. They're trying.
If you especially now, because this started a couple years ago. They're talking about trying to make pedophilia into
sexual orientation.
Sexual orientation. Fuck off.
Disgusting.
I
don't know if I'd be okay with that.
Go to prison and take a death penalty for that shit. Somebody touch that.
And then you break it down any further. What like transgenderism? Is that something that we categorize in with sexuality, or with race, religion, and in those other like categories of what's protected in the Civil Rights
clinically?
Act? A mental health concern.
It is. It really is. It's a mental health concern. When
clinically, it is a gender dysphoria, I believe is what they call it, the clinical term.
Yeah.
Now
it's a medical condition.
They rewrote that recently.
Oh well, in the DSM-5, it's still gender dysphoria. What they rewrote out, they used to believe that homosexuality was a mental health concern in the DSM. But what they added under gender dysphoria is that one of the requirements to be clinically diagnosed with gender dysphoria, they added that you have to be depressed.
Which is almost all of them.
Yeah, right?
Which, if you look at the suicide rates among transgender people, it is higher than any other subgroup in the United States. Let me take a look here.
Because they're being discriminated against. That's why.
That's what they want.
Discri-
Yeah, that's what they'll try to say.
Not
But
I
accept.
mean, I know they probably do get a hard time. I believe that, just like gays do. But you're putting yourself out there for that. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean,
I would expect to walk around in a dress and not have people look at me or whisper or whatever, give me a hard time.
yeah.
I'm putting myself in that situation. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying people should do that, but it's going to happen.
Human beings, our brain has not changed since,
The beginning
ever.
of time. Yeah.
Anything that does not look like us, talk like us, act a certain way, it's foreign and it needs to be destroyed. Now, I think we've come a long way because we're not stoning these people to death
Right.
like our ancestors would have. But
Right.
at the same time, if you're going to force people into this cult, into supporting mental illness, because that's what it is, it's mental illness.
Absolutely.
Especially when you get to as far as mutilating yourself, forcing others to mutilate your body. That's mental illness to me. I shouldn't be forced to not only accept you, but I shouldn't be forced to support you.
I think the biggest thing is that we lack like individual responsibility, and it's that, like you were saying, no one cares if you're trans. No one cares if you're.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's people that are going to be hateful because of it, but they represent such
Right.
a small minority of people in the United States today that is it really inhibiting somebody's day-to-day task completions for their everyday life? I don't think so. But however,
Yeah, most people are just like, you do you, whatever makes you happy. Just don't force me to,
Yeah. I'm not
Don't shove it
I'm
down
not
my
out there trying to make laws about like, oh, people need to coddle my lifestyle. No, I like to be fat and lazy and
Right.
drink beer all day, so I need to have beer readily available, everywhere I go at discounted prices. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to create
Yeah.
law because of my lifestyle.
Not only that,
Exactly.
The basics is this: if you cannot get a job, if you cannot find housing, and if you cannot get health care, and you are being discriminated for those top three things because of if you're LGBTQ, then that's wrong. But I need to see
Right.
evidence and proof that people on a wide scale basis are being denied those three things because they're LGBTQ. And I don't
not
see
just
it.
like assholes.
Nope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And definitely don't agree with those people that do discriminate because of that. That's not okay. Let people do whatever they want to do and let them have the same human rights as everybody else, no matter what color, sexuality, whatever you want to go with. You're still human. You still deserve the same rights.
Bingo.
But don't force laws onto us to accommodate you.
Yeah.
Bingo. You hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
See, all this,
Okay.
all of this stuff is going to create more hatred towards these
Right.
people. So people are gonna get sick and fucking tired of it, and then revert back to their lizard-brained ancestors and start killing these people.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the worst case scenario. But
Right.
it's gonna get to the point where it's like, fuck,
They're gonna be resentful towards them.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, I've lost everything because somebody, falsely accused me of doing this. So what do I have left to lose?
Yeah.
Not a thing. You motherfucker, be careful.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find this article about an increase in transgenderism among children. And what I found so far, and I can go back as far as 2019, because I could have swore I found a more recent article about it. Anyway, new CDC report shows staggering increase in trans-identifying youth, and that was as of February 4th, 2019, so over 2 years ago. But I think that there's an even more recent one.
Yeah,
That one disturbs me. Kids don't know anything.
there's more kids identifying as trans than lesbian now. I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like,
Uh,
what the
that woman that
Well,
wrote that book that was describing how there was like a 4,000% increase in transgenderism among teenage women or teenage females, teenage girls, however you want to look at it. Uh, it it was staggering. She just got her book removed from Amazon again or from like Target again, and like they've been attacking this woman. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. Um,
sounds like all she's doing is posting statistics,
hey,
putting out information.
facts is violence, though. Remember that.
Right. That's right. If
Violence.
it doesn't follow the rhetoric, it's violence.
Because if it's not their truth, it's not truth at all.
Right. It needs to be removed.
Fuckers.
We got to erase the bad parts of history, and we got to erase the statistics that don't agree with our point of view. And
Yeah, all over again. Target removes Abigail Schreier's book, critical of transgender agenda. And if anyone has the chance, you can look up Abigail Schreier's episode with the Joe Rogan Experience, and it's very informative and very interesting. Because I'm sure that we've talked about this before, but since we're on the subject of LGBTQ, I mean, we can reiterate again. But in a nutshell, she wrote this book explaining, or trying to explain and inform people of why is there such a large increase. And we're not talking about like 200%, 300%. When she's looking at like, she's saying that there's a like increase of 4,000% of teenage women or teenage girls want to be coming out as trans. Now you don't see that anomaly in anything really without having to dig into what's the explanation behind it. Because there has to be a driving force if there's 4,000% increase, and and we could talk about Ron Paul's thing the other day as well. Just remind me, but
oh yeah,
but she basically wrote this book, and she has nothing against trans people, like zero, man. Like she's a university professor, I think. I can like look her up, Abigail Schreier, but like she was trying to get oh yeah, Schreier. Here we go. But she was trying to get an objective view, an objective opinion about, and studying this about like why is this happening?
Completely unbiased, statistical reason and explanation.
Yeah. But her book is called Irreversible Damage, and let's see, well, Bill Schreier. See, anyway, it doesn't matter if she's a professor or anything, but she got a lot of backlash for this, and her book she's been fighting to get it kept on Amazon. Target just removed it for a second time off of their bookshelves. And they want to call this like it's hate speech. This is transphobic and stuff like that. Which like we really need to understand and look into it. Why is there a 4,000% increase in this in teenage girls, and what she was saying was that teenage girls, young women have this tendency to naturally want to be accepted in the groups, right? It goes to what she believes is that if one person in a group of girls of 10, which, throughout high school, they're pretty close-knit, even through college, you have sororities and stuff like that. And if one person comes out to be trans, they all go like, oh, so supportive, and they get their family coming in like, oh, I'll support you. They're getting so much attention, so much more acceptance than just being regular, Sally. If regular Sally becomes trans Sally, then she's going to get attention from teachers, get attention from her friends, get attention from her parents even more, and from all from society, because we're living in a society where
minority protected group.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where it bleeds into where it comes into one person, turns into the whole group. Everyone thinks that they're trans now, and then they're doing
because they identify.
Yeah. Then they're doing these irreversible damages of removing mastectomies, removing their breasts, genital mutilation all before 18, or hormone therapy before they're 18. And Charles and I talked about this before. Like, you're basically sterilizing these girls before they reach adulthood, which is
while
unacceptable.
They're still young and impressionable, and all kinds of emotions going on. They don't know what to make of it. Yeah, not a good time to be making those kinds of decisions.
And it's all irreversible damage too, because they're taking these puberty blockers too. Which, if your body does not go through puberty, it's going to be fucked off. You're going to have cancer.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so these puberty blockers, these hormone replacement therapies, if a female
these aren't even FDA approved, correct?
No, they're all like fucking shot out of the dark kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But all of these things have been linked to not only sterilization but cancer as well. Okay, I mean, if you give a female,
you're blocking normal growth of a person.
Yeah, you give a female testosterone to block her puberty. Boom, fucking before she's 18, she's probably going to have some form of cancer. Same thing with a boy. You take away the testosterone and give him estrogen, it's gonna fuck him up.
Yeah, for life.
For life, it's irreversible. You're never going to have kids. Which to me is part of the plan.
Absolutely.
You're going to die a very slow death. Again, which
live miserably.
Yeah. I mean, and all these people that are advocating for this are, in one way or another, climate activists, right?
Yeah.
And they blame the human species, the human race, for all of Earth's woes. And they always say, we got to have population control. We got to have population control. So what do?
Right.
They kill unborn babies. And those who have made it out, they're trying to transition to turn sterile and also kill them.
Yeah.
Point blank. And then those of us
Bill Gates was talking about that multiple times. I've seen multiple interviews with Bill Gates, and that's exactly his plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you don't fall in line with this, then you're going to be sent
canceled.
You're going to get canceled, get sent to a re-education camp, which they've already admitted they have. They're going to put your kids in them, probably transition your kids while you're locked up. They're going to shut your business down. They're going to fuck everything off.
Miserable.
Yeah, they're going to destroy the economy. This great reset where nobody owns anything. Government and the ultra elites are going to own and control the world. I think they said,
and the resources.
They're going to control the resources. I want to, if I remember correctly, because I think it was Bill Gates that also said it, that we need to get the population under control to, I think, 500 million people on Earth.
He really said that?
Yeah, it was him. It was definitely him.
500 million.
500 million people.
That's insane.
We'll jump back on here to Rand Paul. If everyone doesn't know, Rand Paul, Senator of Kentucky, he came out and he was questioning the Dr. Rachel Levine, who's going to be the under deputy or whatever, like the assistant secretary, assistant health and human services secretary. Which is a great point someone brought up. Does anyone know who the actual Secretary of Health and Human Services is? Well, who's the secretary? We know who the assistant secretary is. But I wanted to read this quote. Okay, so for those that don't know, Rand Paul, he is an actual physician. Like, he is a medical doctor, right? I know this is staggering for some people to understand this, and that he actually has a leg or a point to say when it comes to something medical. But
he needs to walk around with this title like Jill does, Doctor of Education. He's a doctor of medicine.
It's Dr. Paul. Yeah.
Dr. Rand, yeah, Dr. Paul.
But
I still him and his dad doctor.
Bro, if there, look, I'll go off on a side trail here. If there's anyone that deserves like the utmost respect in like Congress, it is Senator Rand Paul. That man's gotten his shit beaten in by his neighbor. He's lost a part of his lung. You know, he's been assaulted multiple times, and yet he keeps ticking on, man. You don't hear a peep from this man. You know. Him and his wife, what was it, like, not too long ago, him and his wife were, like, walking down D.C. during, I can't remember, during something, and they were attacked, you know?
Yeah.
And his neighbor actually beat the living hell out of him, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
I didn't know that, but wow.
Yeah.
He was mowing his own lawn.
And I think the punishment that the guy got was not even, like, any time in jail, either.
Yeah, what did he get? Just, like,
where's the outrage? Where's the outrage on this?
You don't hear it from Rand Paul. That's the thing. That's why I'm saying that man deserves so much more respect.
Play the victim. Yeah.
I tell you what, man. If Donald Trump don't come back 2024, Rand Paul, I hope you come and run for president because motherfucker, you got my vote.
Oh, okay. So it says. The neighbor of Senator Rand Paul, who in 2017 attacked the Kentucky Republican during a dispute about their yards, was sentenced Monday to an additional 8 months in prison for the assault. He must, I think his name's Rene Boucher, must also serve 6 months in home confinement. And U.S. District Court Judge Matthew Littman said Monday, Boucher will receive credit for the 30 days in prison he has already served. Mind you, this was an attack in 2017. The date of this article written was July 27th, 2020. So 3 years later. He was sentenced to 8 years. But still.
8 years, 8 months.
Why isn't it a stiffer sentence? I mean, he assaulted a sitting senator.
Yeah. No. Okay. So here, listen to this. Boucher had initially been sentenced to 30 days in jail for the attack, as well as 100 hours of community service and a $10,000 fine. But prosecutors said that the sentence was too lenient and won the right to argue for a harsher sentence. Initially, he was just given a slap on the hand, but it took them 3 years to give him the justice. Anyway. I wanted to go on that tangent to let everyone know about Rand Paul because that man has my utmost respect. Because it was also him that brought up that vote to say that the entire impeachment hoax, BS was unconstitutional. He spearheaded that. But he goes on to question Dr. Levine about her imminent nomination to become the assistant secretary. And he says, quote, he's asked her a question. Ask him a question, whatever you want to call him. Dr. Levine, you have supported both allowing minors to be given hormone blockers to prevent them from going through puberty, as well as surgical destruction of a minor's genitalia, Paul grilled, noting that the permanent effects of such measures. He cited a statistic from the American College of Pediatricians that 80 to 95% of whatever, go on. That's a tongue twister. Children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention or social affirmation. In a nutshell, it's saying that the entire what they believe is there being transgender, it would resolve itself if not exposed to medical intervention or social affirmation, which is you have your parents constantly reaffirming that you're right, 7-year-old Timmy, you're a girl, as long as that doesn't happen, then 80 to 95% of the time it just resolves itself. Levine, who is transgender, dodged Paul's question whether minors are capable of making a decision as life-altering as changing one's sex. You would think that, oh, hey, do you think that this is right to be that children should be going through these procedures, Dr. Levine? And what do you think that her answer really is?
Medically speaking, doctor to doctor.
Yeah, what do you think that her answer is? The most BS answer that you could possibly give that I may have ever heard in a Senate floor hearing ever. Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question, Levine said. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. and if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I will look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars and the standards of care for transgender medicine. And then he's like, okay, come on. I'm asking you a simple question. Do you believe that the government should be involved?
Yes or no?
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Senator. Well, you know, she says it
Give
again.
him the most lawyer answer. Yeah, twice.
Yeah, that answer
Same
was
lawyer
definitely
answer
rehearsed.
twice.
Hi, is your name
absolutely.
Dr. Rachel Levine? Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in that question. You know,
Some do call me that. Some also call me Charles.
yeah, I mean, but hey, it's okay. This person can become the assistant secretary to the health health and human services. But yet this person has been known while, you know, the head of the Department of Health in Pennsylvania to be sending old folks back into the old folks home that was getting them killed of COVID.
And pulling her own mother out of a nursing home. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. Did she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely took family out.
Rand Paul says genital mutilation has been nearly universally condemned, citing that the World Health Organization, or the World Communist Organization, the United Nations Children's Fund, the United Nations Population Fund. According to the WHO, genital mutilation is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights. Genital mutilation is considered particularly egregious because, as the WHO notes, it is nearly always carried out on minors and is a violation of the rights of children. Now, what else did he say? He says social convention, social norm, the social pressure to conform, to do what others do and have been doing, as well as the need to be accepted socially and the fear of being rejected by the community is one of the reasons that, you know, maybe the driving force behind. But
he came up with some really good logical points, not emotionally packed, but actually facts.
Yeah.
And even based on that, Levine couldn't answer a yes or no question.
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. You know, but yeah, because like I just want people to understand, and it's like, again, if your child is transgender, there's nothing. Okay, fine, but let it play out. Let them make the decision as an adult. Just let them make it. It's not that hard. It really isn't. Because I think that if you are a parent and you are purposely giving these treatments to your child and sterilizing them, then you are a fucking piece of shit. Because you cannot deny your child the right to reproduce, you know, later on in life. You cannot steal that from them, because guess what? More than like a 95% chance that they're going to come back, and then they're never going to have to deal with you as a parent because you sterilized them.
Right.
You know? Because that's what happens with these hormone blockers or these hormone therapies. Because you start introducing testosterone in the young girl's body, you're going to shrivel up the uterus and the ovaries, and then you're not going to be able to produce eggs anymore. Because that's
the
where
ones that are
estrogen
just developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not forget. And like you said, you have to give the doctor, as a parent, you have to give a doctor medical consent to even do stitches or whatever other simple minor operation, right?
Yeah.
But now they're trying to make it legal that kids don't even need parents' consent to do this.
Yeah, your school nurse needs parental consent to give your 15-year-old, Tylenol.
Ibuprofen, whatever. Yeah.
But then they want to say it's okay for a 15-year-old to go in without parental consent and just, completely change their entire body and get their breast removed, hormone therapy, and start having gender reassignment
sex
surgery.
change operation. Yeah.
Which he brings up, and so like the left just blows up about this. I sent you the article from Vox. This
Rand Paul attacks.
Yeah, like this is disinformation about transgenderism. There's nothing disinformation about it. He's stating like true, actual facts of like this is what.
Yeah, those aren't his. That's not his opinion. It's not his facts. It's written facts that are out there for everybody to view. So is the WHO, biased against trans? Is the United Children's?
I'm almost at the point of just saying, screw it, let them do it, and then you're going to find out in 10 years from now this whole large group of people that have been denied the right to start their own families, because of the stupid decisions that their parents have made, is going to come back and bite them in the ass. It's going to bite us all in the
absolutely.
ass,
Well, and that's what we're trying to avoid is that future, but they want to go through and push that agenda. Well, yeah, you're right. It's exactly what's going to happen in the future.
If any parent,
really upset adults.
If any parent is considering that it is okay to mutilate a young girl's vagina or to mutilate a young boy's testicles and penis, they've been doing these kind of torturous acts in third world countries for years. General mutilation of young girls,
right.
Especially young girls.
Highly looked down upon.
Yeah, removing the clitoris, removing all these other parts of the the vagina because that's did it because of their extremist views, and then we're going to be doing the same crap here. That no,
it's a sign of control and submission.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah. Anyway, boys, I got to get going.
All right, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Of course, always.
Have a good day.
All right, guys. Later.
Later.
Boom. Anyway.
Yeah, it's insane, man.
Yeah. But hey, that's the world that we're living in, and that's the world that we're trying to fight. And again, like I said, if there's evidence, if there's proof that there's widespread discrimination of people not receiving education, housing, jobs, and healthcare, because they're transgender or gay, then I want to see it. Otherwise, there's no discrimination about it going on on a high scale that we need to have federal intervention for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're never going to see it. The only time you'll see it is when it happens on the news, and then later on it turns out to be a freaking hoax.
Yeah.
Jesse Smollett, anybody? Bubba Wallace.
This is MAGA land. This is MAGA country.
Yeah. Take some bleach on your skin.
Oh my God.
Oh man, you can't make this shit up, man. No. You can. You have to dig real deep in your sick mind.
Yeah. Man, it's too bad.
What are we to do to prevent, this dystopian future? It's not like you can really rise up anymore because you're constantly being watched.
Well, you just got to do what these Democrats have been doing for the past couple years, and that's we need to create conservative idea groups that support each other, just like what they do. We need to, we need to ensure, because my fear is this, is that I think there's a lot of closeted conservatives out there are definitely, and the polls have been showing there's actual some forms of evidence that people were actually fearful of letting people know that they were voting for Trump, or even during the phone polls and stuff like that. But we need to come up with these groups, organize ourselves to say, hey, if you are a conservative or you have any kind of conservative ideas and you're afraid, look, you have us, and that we need to start helping each other out, because there's a lot of people out there that are fearful for losing their jobs because if they make the wrong Facebook post, or they voice their opinion too loud at the company softball game or whatever. And then also another thing is that what else did the Democrats do? They went out and they rallied votes, door to door, supported the people getting out and the vote, stealing votes.
They paid people to go vote.
Yeah, pay people to go vote. Pay these felons as fines so that they can vote in Florida.
Yeah, people that are still in prison voted.
Yeah.
Like, fuck out of here.
And we just need to, reassure people that, hey, if you think that you're going to be discriminated against because of your political ideation, when really not involved in any kind of your work at all, hey, you got us. We're going to help you out. Either give them a job or fight for their behalf or try to find resources to, just. And I think that would be definitely a step forward of trying to resolve and trying to fight against this. 2022 is such an important election, midterm election year, where we need to flip, less than 10 districts from blue to red in order to get the majority. And I think, what was it, like 98%? There was like this large statistic that typically the midterms of a president has always flipped for the other political party. It did under Trump, and we're hoping it's going to do it for under Biden as well. But when you got crap like this that says Amazon snubs Clarence Thomas during Black History Month, removes his it says the omission is especially glaring to move to drop the created equal Clarence Thomas in his own words. What was it, like some kind of an acclaimed popular PBS documentary on Justice Clarence Thomas was dropped off of Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they want to say it's about race. It was never about race. It's never been about race. They're using race so that they can get their political agenda accomplished. Otherwise, why would you drop off a black man who is a Supreme Court justice, his PBS special about him from Amazon? It was never about equality.
It was never about race. It was about, wrong think. You're thinking wrong. You're gonna get publicly shamed. 1984, anyone? No?
Yeah.
I mean, that was supposed to be a warning. That book was supposed to be a warning, not a blueprint.
No kidding, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's so many Americans now. I don't know the exact number percentage wise on how many people in this country have zero faith in elections anymore. So that really means that this place is going to become a banana republic probably in the next couple of years. Actually, probably sooner than that. I mean, I already got rid of tens of thousands of jobs, energy independence is gone, day one. So I've already seen gas prices go up, because gas prices just, a few months ago was like $1.50 a gallon.
Oh man, alive! Well, it's like north of $2 now.
Yeah, it's like $2.50 now. It went up $1.
Woo!
Yeah, in just a very short amount of time.
Oh man, yeah. My wife sent me the text message yesterday. Like, you seen the gas prices is going up here, and like it's like $3.50, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah. Well, hey, thank you, Biden. But hey, if I say that, man, I'll get fact checked. Like I got fact checked again this morning. Let's see here what the fact check was. Some stupid stuff here. Oh yeah, I guess it says fact check. I guess it was on probably one of my direct quotes of Biden, where Biden literally said verbatim that he didn't have any COVID vaccines when he came into office. Fact check. President Biden quote about not having COVID-19 vaccine coming into office was about supply backlog, not about vaccine existence. And then they said it's quoted as a misquote. It was a misquote from him.
Shut the fuck up, man. Shut up.
A misquote. Yeah. The president here, look, we did. Look, I love reading this stuff, man. The president says, "Here, look, we did. We got into office and found out that supply there was no backlog he said there was no backlog. I mean, there was nothing in the refrigerator, figuratively and literally speaking, and there were 10 million doses a day that were available. We've upped that in the last 3 weeks, and can you produce more vaccine? And so, in other words, it's not all of a sudden 600 million doses are going to appear. That's what was going to happen is it's going to continue to increase. The one thing, it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. He literally says that. And so I get fact check, and he says that COVID-19 vaccine coming to office was about supply backlog, not about vaccine existence. And he says there was no backlog. That doesn't make any sense. So, but I get, I have to get slapped on the wrist, and I'm not able to pay for advertisements, and I can't promote my page because that's whatever I said was a direct quote. It was misinformation. It was a misquote. Stupid, man.
Jesus.
Constantly happens to me, man. Constantly. But it's the name of the game. I can't wait until this crap stops, man.
Well, it's probably not going to stop in our lifetime, not unless something real drastic happens.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to get you in trouble by saying what.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. There's also been reports about the flu has virtually disappeared from the United States.
Yeah. I remember we talked about that probably the first or second time that I appeared on your show. Like, oh, the flu just disappeared.
Flu season typically peaks between December and February of each year. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that the flu causes up to 45 million illnesses, and up to 810,000 hospitalizations and up to 61,000 deaths each year. But this flu season, can anyone guess what the number might be? Have been just 925 cases of the flu around the U.S. so far. Johns Hopkins Medicine reported.
Hey, maybe the coof is the cure to flu, huh?
Yeah.
maybe flu is the cure, huh? Yeah.
AP suggests that it is also possible that the coronavirus has essentially muscled aside flu and other bugs that are more common in the fall and winter. Oi, come here, you little flu! Oh, I'm sorry. I should probably give him a Chinese accent. Oh, you flu, give me a...
No talking.
Like there's a microbial war going on. Like they're just clashing. It's the COVID-19 that's actually winning and slaughtering the fucking swine flu and yeah, right. I don't know, man.
Oh, that's funny. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that this I'm sorry, not pandemic, wiped the flu out.
What I sit and I wonder, and it really upsets me and it bothers me so much that like I feel like I have to be careful of what I say. Like, I can't imagine being someone that has such a high-end job that's going to be constantly like peeking around your Facebook profile and if this person says, like the Gina Carano thing, if she actually makes a reference to the Holocaust or Nazis, then she's an anti-Semite and we gotta fire her from this, and why do I have to be fearful of being fact-checked? Why am I getting my hands slapped when it's not really? I'm not violating anything. I'm not speaking lies here. I'm doing direct quotes from the man. Direct quotes. It's not the first time. I put in direct quotes and saying, "Oh, it's misleading," and such. It's.
I mean, you're not calling for violence. Yeah, you're not being hateful. I mean, if you were being hateful, I mean, hate speech is still protected, but. You're still not calling for violence at all.
No.
you call for violence, even off the show.
But it's
So
interesting. Again, this is something to keep an eye out on. You know, what is the deal with the flu? Like, what is the exact reason? And I think that there's more than just one reason to it. And I don't think it's that people are not getting. Maybe that is a contributing factor. I don't think people are really going out to even getting tested if they got the flu,
No.
or like test sets for COVID-19 are not being tested for the flu as well. When those could be the same symptoms, you know, cough, fever. Um,
Hell, if you
so
can breathe correctly, then you probably have COVID. You know, that's if you're alive, you have COVID. Yeah. I mean, because you remember it started off with just a few symptoms. It was fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, and then it just kept the list kept going and going and going, and it's like fuck, man. If you get a beating heart, you got it. Shit. You're asymptomatic with a beating heart.
yeah. uh and then I have to be taking, and I have to worry about taking anti-white classes, from through my employer. Like, hey, just be less white, or no matter what I do, if I say that I'm not racist, well, kinda, you are white, so there is some level of inherent racism in your subconscious, and or thank God I have my son in private school, because look, I took a anti-racist training workshop for parents, and here's what I learned. Or they're even doing like parent-teacher conferences, or like a parent-teacher meetings with whites and blacks white and black families separate from each other. Like they're like undoing this whole anti-segregation thing by segregating themselves. In universities, they want to have black-only dorms, away from other white people. Like, oh my god, I mean, the level of stupidity and ignorance is just it's mind-boggling. And this is the 80 million people that voted for Joe Biden, by the way. That support this crap.
Yeah, it is also going way before then too. It was in the early 2000s. I want to say 2004, 2005 time frame. There was a high school in Jacksonville, Florida, that had segregated proms. So because they had the student body, and I quote, felt more comfortable being, or the black student body felt more comfortable being with other black during the prom, and didn't want to intermingle, so they had segregated proms. And I thought that was insane at the time. I was like, wow, younger me, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Why would they do that? What happened to integration and all this stuff? It didn't. I didn't think it'd go anywhere else, but here we are now in 2021, and everybody wants to be, or I say everybody very loosely, wants to be segregated. So why, you're really spitting in the face of leaders like Martin Luther King Jr.
Truly.
He gave up his freedom. He gave up his he sacrificed his body. He sacrificed his life for civil rights and integration, so that little white boys and little black boys and white girls and black girls can go to the same schools, hold hands, play together. And now it's like, yeah, fuck you. Because even though he was a starch communist, now he's too right wing for these people.
Yeah. So, at least it was believed that he was communist, but I don't think he really was.
I mean,
at the time, that's what they were labeling him as. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know for sure. I'm just going off of the rhetoric.
But you're seeing, okay, so let's take a look. I was thinking about this. Let's take a look at the parallels between what's going on today when it comes to right-leaning thinking, in comparison to what they went, African Americans went through in the civil rights days in the 60s. Okay, now let me make a precursor here. All right, I'm not saying that we're being we're being segregated or treated the same here. All right, not what we're going through right now is nothing in comparison to what they went through back then. Okay, I'm not doing that kind of like comparison, but I'm saying that there are some similarities in the sense that if I am a pro-Trump supporter and I'm a conservative and I go march down the streets of like Tacoma around here, I'm probably going to be met with force through opposing demonstrations.
You're gonna get attacked.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get spit on, be called names. And so, what, didn't they go through that too? Like when they wanted to march down to Montgomery in Alabama, they were spit on, called names, racial slurs. And so, if I was to do the same thing now here, I'd probably be getting called, names, racist, xenophobic, homophobic, be spit on, attacked. I have to be fearful of that same thing too. And so, like, have we not learned anything from this? And they want to say that, like, okay, now let's take a look at, like, the difference between majority and minority, right? In the 60s, a majority of people believed in segregation in the South. Okay? And so now, the majority of people believe this bullshit. And it was always the minority that came and had to resist and fight against it and then became, victorious at the end. It took a lot of time, but that's why I'm kind of hopeful that what we're standing for and believing in when we're fighting for it, we're going to come out on top eventually, but it's going to take some time.
You know what the other similarity is?
Huh?
Is Jim Crow South and segregated South. Democrats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then, and so, like, it comes back to the segregation thing that we're talking about just now, is that, okay, so now we're going to have school meetings with, like, blacks, whites, only different, Democrats in charge, again, of it. It's, you have to say history repeats itself. You can see it unfolding, in front of you right now. It's yeah. But anyway, we got
history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep, sure are. Anyway, got about an hour and 17 in, and I think we're gonna have to close up shop for now. So we talked about a lot of great things. I really appreciate you coming out again. Thank you, everyone. Hey, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. I'm on Rumble, YouTube. And catch the whole recording on there. All right. Take care, everyone.